Hey jewelry friends, I'm Judy and I want to tell you a little bit about the water soluble wax workshop where you can make hollow forms for casting. So this idea lets you make beads or other hollow shapes using lost wax casting methods. So you could use it to make things like lockets or beads or small boxes. So one thing that's really cool about this process is you really don't need a lot of metalworking skills to have a good time with it, but anything you can bring to it experience-wise, you can create a more complex and project and add on to what you build in the class. So it requires basically no metalworking skills to do the wax part, and if you just make a bead where you can supply the wax with the hole already drilled in it, you could have a bead ready to go when it comes back from the casting shop. But if you do have metalworking skills, then you can do things like add bails or clasps, jump rings. With a locket, you can add hinges and all of those things, gemstones, settings, after you get the thing back from being cast. The thing. So the tools that you need are pretty minimal. They're the same kind of things that you would use for any kind of lost wax casting, model making. So that's one thing I really like about it, about teaching wax carving, is very few tools, and the materials with wax is basically non-toxic. So it's the sort of thing you could do in a home studio or in your living space, like at your dining room table, as well as if you have a very nice metals studio ready to do this. So first of all, let me tell you about the materials that we're using. So the kit that you can purchase from me or buy the materials on your own. All the info about what is used is in the tools handout. But the kit includes the water-soluble wax, which I'm supplying in these little shapes, so that are close to bead shapes. These are like 1-inch cubes. You'll get a couple of those. You can get a couple of these that are like double that size, 2x1s, and then some long, thin ones. And these sizes are pretty easy to cut, modify with a saw and with your usual file and tools. The other item that's used in it is the carvable injection wax, and that is the molten core shell that goes over the inner core, which will make sense in a minute. And then additional to that is a steel wire, a section of steel wire that we use to make a little handle to be able to dip the core. And I'll show you what I mean. So the things for filing the core wax are the usual things that you use to file hard waxes for lost wax casting. So they would be a double-ended wax file, any of the wax burrs or sanding tools, large grinding burrs. But truthfully, the thing that I have found that works really the best is just this simple wood rasp that you can get from a hardware store. And these are really inexpensive. And this is what I use the most to carve the white wax for the inner core. So once you have that core carved, we're going to the shape, which is the shape of your final object, just roughed out. We're going to dip that shape, that white wax, the inner core stuff, into the outer wax, the molten injection wax. And to do that, you need to have something to hold on to it, to dip it into the pot like a fondue or dipping candles. And so that's what the steel wire is for. And the reason that I use steel is because it's strong. And so therefore I can use a very thin wire, and it doesn't leave a very big mark on the shell of the final wax. But you could use any kind of wire. It works fine. If you get the kit from me, you will get a steel segment. So after the core is dipped, like in that previous picture, you make the design on the outside in that dipped, newly added shell wax on the outside. You carve a design that has openings and shapes, levels, textures, and to do that, you would use, again, the same materials, tools as we always use, scribes for applying your design to the shape, the wax carving tools, X-Acto knives, gravers, burrs and chisels, burrs and chisels. So once you have the outer wax carved into a pattern or shape of some kind, then you want to remove the core, the water-soluble core. That's how we get the hollow forms. So on the left of the picture here, you see those previous pods that had the dipping stick on them carved. And on the right is them floating in a little bucket of water, which dissolves the white wax. So you put the finished pieces in the water, let them sit for a while, the wax dissolves, and then you have a hollow shape ready to be cast. But at that point, you could still, and probably will, want to refine the exterior wax a little bit. And so that's mostly done with hot tools. So like the same wax carving tools with an alcohol lamp or an electric wax carving pen, and with that you can, with any of those, you can change the texture of the exterior, you can refine the hole shapes that you'll be able to see better because now your piece is hollow, and add more wax if you needed to or wanted to. So here's a couple of examples. On the left are the wax shapes with the white core wax still in them, and you can see the white inside the carved openings. And on the right is the items after they've been cast in silver. And so the changes that you see here, aside from them being pretty silver now, is like the triangle shape is going to be like a container. And so I cut the top part off so that I can now add a little flange on the inside now that it's been cast, and it'll fit down into the neck of the bottle. And then the bead, the item up on the upper side is going to be a locket. So it's got a hinge in place and it's opened up. And the advantage of doing this process in the wax is I could cut the circumference of that shape in the wax, letting it be cast that way so that when it comes back, it's ready to be processed. And the cutting is much faster and easier in the wax, and it's really accurate. So those are the kind of advantages and the reasons why you might want to use this to make little boxes and lockets, etc. So this wax is blue. Don't let that confuse you too much. We are using the yellow wax now. In the process of developing this for the workshop, I realized like the blue wax wasn't really serving the purpose, and I switched to the yellow wax, which is much friendlier. We will be using the yellow wax that you see from here on out. So this is an example from a student that has no metalworking skills, and she is making these beads. These are the waxes ready to be sent to be cast. She's making them just with a lot of organic shaped openings in them and with holes big enough that when they come back she can put them straight onto a cord and finish them out as a beaded piece of jewelry. Here's another student who, her drawings are so lovely, I wanted to share them. And so these were the pod shapes that she has sketched out and the wax that she made from that inspiration, with on the right a couple of other pieces. One is a bead that she had made previously that's already been cast. And then on the right is a bead form that's with the lid cut off. She's going to make that into a box when it comes back. So the interior of that is hollow, and the two pieces fit together perfectly because they were once one piece. So I hope you join me in this workshop, and please check my website, my name, judyparody.com, for updates and information. I'll be posting images of new jewelry as I finish it out in this process for you to see. And the workshop will be sometime in September, and I'll keep you informed. See you then.